Good morning, class. Hope you all enjoyed the lab visiting last week. This week, we are going to discuss the contactless technologies in the hospitality and tourism industry. As you can see, here are the main objectives. After today's class, you should be able to tell what is contactless technologies for the hospitality and tourism industry and give some examples of contactless technologies that had already been used in the hospitality and tourism industry. Additionally, you will know the behavior changes due to the COVID-19 in the hospitality and tourism industry. Furthermore, we are going to review the challenge that apply in contactless technologies. So first of all, we are going to talk what is contactless technology. Before COVID-19, contactless technology specifically means the radio frequent identification, which is RFID technologies, and near field communication technology, which is NFC technologies. So what are RFID and NFC? Think of RFID as a one-way conversation. An unpowered RFID tag can provide information when scanned by a powered RFID reader. So what is an unpowered RFID tag? It could be your credit card as shown in pictures, or it could be the key fob of your apartment front key. Compared to RFID, NFC is actually capable of a two-way conversation. In other words, NFC is a communication between two devices. It increases the security of the communications, and the prime advantage of NFC is that most modern mobile devices are now NFC enabled and can be used as a mobile reader devices as well. So think of Apple Pay. Actually, they are using NFC technologies. Absolutely, we know that today contactless technology does not only mean RFID and NFC anymore. COVID-19 has accelerated existing trends in consumer behavior around the world, as well as creating new ones, from when we buy things to how we pay things. Because of the features of COVID-19, during the COVID-19, individuals need to practice social distance, which is at least 6 feet away from others to avoid catching the disease. Because of the social distance, today contactless technologies are not only represent those NFC and RFID technologies as mentioned in previous, but all technologies that enable the service delivered with limited contact between the guests and staff. Actually, you may hear other names of contactless technologies, such as touchless technologies, touch-free technologies. They are all the same thing. Specifically, as what we discuss in the next few sections, contactless technology will not limited in self-service technologies, automatic technologies, voice control system, and contactless payment. To look at the contactless technology that had already applied in the hospitality and tourism industry, we would like to separate customers' experience into 3 stages. As you can see, the first stage we are going to talk is the prior to consumptions. The second stage is check-in, and the third stage is consumptions and checkout. So let's look at the peer-to consumption stage. Last week, you all visited our extended reality lab. You guys see the 360 video. So I would like to show you guys how could 360 video enhance customers' virtual reality experience. Here is a video of Shangri-La Hotel. During the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of business in the hospitality sectors have turned to VR in order to spark the desert travel. But so have hotels, travel destination, museum, landmark, theme park, restaurant, and so on. Even some guests with VR headset are able to book hotels from their headset in some cases. VR will not only become easier but also more widespread among customers with time. Thus, consider this as we talked about the VR headset pricing, which is not expensive. VR will become the perfect opportunity for hotels to showcase their purposes to publics and encourage the booking. This is an exciting time for hotels. It has been a long time since there was a new booking channels available to hotels. Hotelers who get in on the VR game earliest will be the one who get the reward first. Actually, you may no longer see a sales associate standing in the mall and selling the hotel rooms or cruise line trips anymore in the future.
Situated in the heart of Hong Kong, island Shangri-La soars 56 floors above the city's most prestigious shopping, cultural, and business addresses. Guests enjoy direct access to the Pacific Place shopping mall and subway station. Displayed in the atrium of the hotel, the Great Motherland of China landscape mural measures 51 meters by 14 meters and consists of 250 panels of Chinese silk. Located on the top floor and on level 56, the Horizon Club Lounge commands stunning views of the harbor, complimentary breakfast, evening cocktails, and access to the adjoining landscaped roof garden are available exclusively for guests residing on the Horizon Club floors. Our signature jasmine tea is offered to ensure a warm welcome to all our guests. The hotel comprises 531 guest rooms and 34 suites, all of which are exquisitely appointed and command magnificent views of the Peak or Victoria Harbor.
We all know that the food service industry suffered a great loss during the COVID-19. Actually, COVID-19 changed the customer dining behavior, as we know that COVID-19 bombed the food delivery business. Today, the top 4 food delivery apps providers are DoorDash, Uber Eats, GrabHub, and Postmates. The 4 companies grabbed a total $5.5 billion in combined revenue from April to September last year, the peak of COVID-19, which is more than twice as much as their combined $2.5 billion in revenue during the same period in 2019. Actually, not only providing delivery service, but the apps are also able customers to pre-order and pick up the food in the restaurant like curbside pickup. Another changes in the food service industry is the online restaurant reservation. Before the COVID-19 hit, diners book tables online only if they would like to have an exclusive chef tables experience like that. But today, as restaurants open dining room in the pandemic, they are forced to make dramatic adjustments to meet the social distance requirement, and thus they have to have customers to reserve the table before they come. And the restaurant's reservation system are also changing right along with the social distance requirement. And another interest point I would like to share with you guys is how do customers read information in online restaurant searching? As we know that sometimes we search restaurants around us to find a place to eat. Before COVID-19, some worries such as we only have one time slot left will increase customer interest in the restaurant as they may perceive the popularity and scarcity of the restaurant. However, today actually customers may no longer want to crowded restaurant due to the COVID-19, thus they may avoid visiting restaurant with those informations. So the next technology I'm going to talk is digital queues with SMS notification. Actually, it's not a new technology for our industry, which a lot of restaurants had already used that years ago. However, it was popular because of COVID-19, as more and more restaurants are starting to use these technologies. This is because of the social distancing. The social distancing means that many organizations are experiencing longer queues, causing a poor customer experience and put business at a risk. Thus, the requirements for digital queues will significantly increase. For example, today customers could join the virtual queues by a host with a table or kiosk or their own mobile phone, and then they not need to wait on site. Actually, they can check their wait time and their line by their mobile phone, and they can also receive a SMS notification when it's their turn. So the last thing I'm going to show you guys is a room sales. It is very similar to the Zoom meeting we are experiencing today. Actually, due to the COVID-19, similar to other business, most sales in the hospitality and tourism industry, such as event sales, they can all go online. Thus, I would like to use this video to show you guys some tips during the Zoom sales or Zoom meeting that may not only benefit you if you are sales, but also benefit your career development like interview.
One of the questions we hear most often in our classes, our workshops, and one-on-ones is how can I sell over video conferencing more effectively? How can I use Zoom to sell like a pro? We've got you covered. 10 tips to help you sell like a pro. But before we do, why does this even matter? So I'm gonna share some stats, and these numbers, they're gonna blow your mind. First off, we all know that COVID saw a massive increase in the amount of video conferencing and video on the internet. And no, it wasn't just people chilling at home watching Netflix. It was for business purposes, for work purposes. We know that from the folks over at Trust Radius. They can tell us that there was over a 500% increase in the amount of business transactions for video software. Not only that, but if we take a look at specific companies, we could take a look at what Bloomberg lets us know. Companies like Zoom saw almost a 3,000% increase in the number of daily active users over a 4-month period. Now that's huge, but is this really a good thing? Are we going to go back to how they were, or is this the new normal? Well, 87% of respondents, remote workers, say they feel more connected to their teams and to their employers because of video conferencing. So no, this is the new normal. We need to be selling online using video. But what does that mean for you as a sales rep? It can be daunting, it can be intimidating. And the first few times you're running a demo, you're running a presentation remotely, those fumbles can be embarrassing and harm your closing rates. So here we go, 10 tips to make you more effective and more confident in selling over Zoom. Tip number 1, the mute button. Use it like lives depend on it. Not only is it going to improve the experience for everyone else, but it'll save you those embarrassing moments. If someone walks in, the phone rings, an alert pops, use it and it will make you more professional. Moreover, you don't need to worry about forgetting about it. We've all been in those meetings where people start talking and everyone reminds them, oh, you're on mute. Save yourself that embarrassment by using this trick, the space bar. While you're in a Zoom meeting, you can hold the space bar to talk and it'll temporarily unmute you. So not only can you save everybody else on the line, but you can imagine you're using an old walkie-talkie while you're at it. Tip number 2, the camera angle. Take the time to get the camera angle at eye level so it's looking at you like a person would. If you're speaking to somebody, you wouldn't have them looking up your nose or looking down at you from above. So get it straight at and it'll feel like a more human and a more effective experience. And number 3, audio. Pay attention to it. People forgive laggy, choppy video, low resolution, choppy graphics, but if the audio's bad, that will end the call like nothing else. Try to avoid using the built-in audio because it often comes across as really tinny. Take the time to add a headset, a very inexpensive set of cabled headset and over the head, all of those will improve the quality of your audio. And if you're in a space where you can't avoid background noises, there are inexpensive tools like crisp.ai. There's a link in the description that can actually automatically remove that background noise. Pay attention to the audio and that'll immediately level up the quality of your calls. Tip number 4, be deliberate in what you're sharing. Often when you share your screen, the first option is your whole screen, but that includes everything like your taskbar, your menu bar, your alerts, your messy desktop. If you're sharing for a demo or to share information, share just the application or just the tab in your browser to make sure people are seeing an uncluttered view and you have no embarrassing moments when you share something you didn't intend to. The last thing you want to do is accidentally share a sensitive customer email while you're sitting in a video conference with others. So take the time to be careful of your share. As well, keep in mind, people will be using different devices. They might be on their phone, an iPad, their computer. If you take the time to share a window that's sized appropriately, people will be able to see the right information. If you're sharing your whole screen and you have a massive monitor, that's going to be really hard for people who are joining from smaller devices. Sharing your screen like a pro is going to make you look really good. Tip number 5, consider your background and your surroundings. No, you don't have to have an incredible studio with a green screen. What I mean is to take time and be deliberate. Zoom, Teams, all of them have virtual backgrounds, so you can put what you want behind you. That might be your branding, it might be a photo, one of your favorite locations. Or if you're using your own space, think about how it'll come across. For example, my background gives me an amazing opportunity to speak about my travel, my family. I can't count the number of times people have asked me about the painting I have behind me or the Lego figurines. Think about your surroundings as a way to show off your personality, to put yourself forward in the best light, and consider how people will be seeing it, because that's the most important. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, I'd ask you to take a moment to smash that like and subscribe button, and that gives us a fighting chance of becoming a YouTube sensation. We're a small account and we can't get to that level without your help. And of course, beyond this video, if you do subscribe, you'll get notified of what's coming up, and you can also look back into our catalog. We have a whole library of tips and tricks like this, as well as recordings of our workshops, webinars, demo days. There's a ton of great content there, and we hope you enjoy it. And of course, if you have any other Zoom tips that I don't touch in this video, please toss them in the comments below. These are fantastic, useful tips for all the professionals that we share this video with. So thanks, click those buttons, and stay tuned for the next 5 tips. Tip number 6, use your keyboard shortcuts. In the description, we link to one of our articles where we go through a number of the most popular ones. But even knowing a couple, like how to quickly stop sharing your screen, we've all been in a situation where we've got 3 or 4 Zoom windows open, the chat, the participants, the screen share, and you notice that something pops up. You need to quickly get back to it. Being able to quickly use those keyboard shortcuts to stop sharing, to turn off your video, those are great escape hatch moments, so you don't have to worry about clicking around to find those links. Number 7, use that pause button. This is often overlooked. When you're sharing your screen, that stop sharing button right beside it has a pause sharing. When you click that button, whatever you had on your screen is frozen, available for everybody, while you can go and move on to other things. This is fantastic if you need to look something up, if you need to get a piece of information. You don't need to let everyone see you hunting around in your emails or your folders. Just pause the screen while you look for it. When you come back and unpause it, they'll catch up with where you are. Great way to hide the messiness of what you're working on while you put your best foot forward to your audience. Tip number 8, review your security settings. Take the time to be deliberate about which security settings are used for which meetings. For example, one-click login. That's best for internal meetings that are happening on a recurring basis. Your weekly kickoffs, closeouts, all-hand meetings. Makes it very easy for your team to click the link and get in. Zoom can be set up to whitelist email domains. So if you have people who are joining your Zoom regularly, you can add them to the whitelist so that they don't need to sit in the waiting room or enter a passcode. Which brings me to the other 2 settings, the waiting room. Be sure to enable that. And that way you can make sure that as you're letting people in, you know who they are and you're avoiding any of that Zoom bombing. The third option, the passcode, is really best when you need that extra layer of security. You could share that password like kickoff ahead of events so that people who are coming in aren't just who you think they are, but they know what you've shared in advance. Tip number 9, be sure to add the Zoom details into your calendar invitations. The easiest way to do that is to use the meeting link and put that in as the location in your calendar. If you're using the Zoom Chrome extension and you're using webmail, it'll actually do that for you automatically. When you create a meeting and you click make it a Zoom meeting, it'll put it right there in that location. That way, anytime somebody opens up the event, they've got the link right there. And you can go even further by customizing the body. Instead of just using that plain wall of text that Zoom and any conference app gives you, put in a short agenda for the meeting right at the top. And that way, anytime someone's opening the event or at the start of the event, you and they can refer to it. Tip number 10, Configure your personal meeting ID. Zoom can set you up with an individual meeting room that's always available, so you can just stand it up. Now, it's a randomly generated 9 to 11 digit code by default, but you can change that. Clever hack, set it to your phone number. So if you're ever in those situations where you need to quickly stand up a room, you could tell people, load up Zoom, here's the meeting number, and just rhyme off your phone number. You never need to worry about forgetting it. Now, bonus tip number 11, choose when to disable your personal meeting ID. You can see here in these options, I've turned it off so that I'm not using my personal meeting ID when I schedule meetings. The reason for that is when I book meetings for customers, partners, students, anyone, especially when they're booked back to back, every meeting gets a unique code. So you'll never have a situation where someone crashes one of your meetings early because you use the same code for multiple sessions. So yes, your personal ID can be a lifesaver, but be sure not to use it when you're scheduling meetings. Thanks again for watching. I hope these tips were helpful for you. If you have any other suggestions, tips we might have overlooked, please toss them in the comments below. Like and subscribe. That's always a huge help. And of course, please join us at our demo day events. There's a link on where you can register to join us in the description. And if you're ever curious about the training we provide, you can let us know in the comments or hop on over to uvaro.com. We'll catch you in our next update. I hope you have a fantastic day and happy selling.
In terms of check-in stage, besides the NFC RFID technologies, as I mentioned, we have talked a lot of other technologies such as facial recognition, self-service kiosk, and QR code scan in previous class. They all belong to contactless technologies today. However, I'm not going to discuss them one by one. Actually, today I would like to focus on the facial recognition technologies and tell you why I believe that's the best technologies to use for check-in. The biggest advantage of facial recognition check-in is that this technology will be used to identify authorized person by their biometric information. Because of cost of fraud biometric information today is pretty high, thus it may help to increase the safety. For example, credit card fraud is a big challenge for lodging industry, as Mr. Vicky from EU Hospitality mentioned. Actually, the face recognition technology may make credit card transactions secure and much better than ever before. Similarly, facial recognition may also able to help with the human trafficking, another biggest challenge in the hospitality industry. Additionally, the tourist issue. When we mention the word tourist, we may always link to the airline industry. So, next, let's see a video about why airline industry or airports would like to use facial recognition check-in.
In Tech Time with me, Andrew Humphrey. With more people flying, air travelers are once again seeing delays, cancellations, and long lines. But new facial recognition technology could cut down waiting times at security checkpoints. For the first time, your next flight could be unlocked by facial recognition technology, starting at bag check, going through security, and all the way to the gate.
Success. You're welcome aboard.
The new partnership between Delta Airlines and the Transportation Security Administration aims to save passengers time as people are flooding back to airports.
And really hopefully reduce stress and increase the speed at which people traverse through the airport.
Delta's Ranjan Goswami explained how the system works at bag check. He says what typically takes 2 minutes and 30 seconds is now down to 30 seconds. He says the process of verifying your identity at the TSA checkpoint is now down to only 6 seconds.
I think the timing could not be more perfect in many ways because you're right, more and more regular travelers are coming back to travel.
The trial will start at Delta's busiest hub. At first, only for those in Delta's frequent flyer program who also have TSA PreCheck. Passport and visa photos in a federal database are compared with your live photo. The TSA insists that file is immediately destroyed, increasing security from cyber threats and hacks.
We've definitely taken privacy considerations into account the whole way. If somebody does not want to participate, they do not have to opt in and participate. They really have that choice if they want to have the experience.
Thank you. Welcome to the Airmail Club.
American Airlines is also trying facial recognition at its Dallas-Fort Worth terminal lounges. But industry experts think using the technology from the moment you arrive at the airport could cut the time you spend waiting in half.
If we see the TSA get that kind of an increase in productivity, long airport security lines could be a thing of the past.
So it's a personal balancing act with this new facial recognition technology, of course. The freedom of choice is still there. You can volunteer to use facial recognition technology or not. There are still privacy concerns and, of course, security concerns, despite some of the protections promised. Now, that being said, new facial recognition technology is absolutely astonishing, and it launches at Atlanta's airport in November, ahead of the busy holiday travel season.
When we mention that contactless technology during the consumptions, you may first thought about service robot, digital key, and voice control system, as we mentioned that many times either in our guest speaker or AI section. Here, you have to know that the digital key is based on the NFC technologies, and the traditional hotel key card is based on the RFID technology. It may give you a better understanding on the differences between RFID and NFC technology. Besides those, automatic technology is another type of contactless technologies that we're always talking about today, but always be forgot to mention. Automatic technology could be the automatic flush toilet, the automatic paper towel dispenser, the automatic door, and so on. So let me use the automatic door as an example. The ideal approach to limit the transmission of the coronavirus and other viruses at building entrance is to make the operation of the door completely hands-free. While automatic door operators have been available for most door configurations, they have not been widely used in facilities before COVID-19. Although they are expensive than manual doors, they are not cost-prohibitive. So, as you can see, the global automatic door market is expected to value at approximately $2 billion in 2020, and is forecast to grow like $1.16 billion in the next 5 years. Hospitality industry is throughout delivering customer-central interactions and high-personalized experience, all of which has become obsolete because of the COVID-19 pandemic. With over 50% of hospitality businesses running a loss, most surviving businesses are reimagining ways to cut loss and bring back customers. Well, a surefire way to do this was innovating. And this is where the contactless technologies came from. It is not only assures travelers of business safe protocols, but also focus on the service personalizations and customers' relationship. In the last section, we are going to talk about the challenge of applying contactless technologies. As you can see, some of the contactless technologies such as facial recognition is AI-based. In the AI sections, we have already talked about the bias, the data security issues. Additional, some of other situations where a technology failure, we always should have a backup plan for the business that we had already talked in class. Some of you guys mentioned the Chick-fil-A cases. That's a very good example. However, there is another challenge may need business owner to consider before applying those technologies, which is, does customers still love contactless technologies after COVID-19? As some news have reported that customers are ready to resume pre-COVID-19 behaviors. This depends on the situation and do need the owner's investigation and judgment.